Welcome back, everybody. I am so excited today because we are talking to my friend Monica Azoulay. How do you
Azoulay?
pronounce your last name?
Azoulay.
Azoulay. Okay. So I met Monica, oh my gosh, it's probably 3 years ago
Ah,
in Dallas at an event. And can I just tell the story?
absolutely.
Okay, here's my version of the story. So this was a Brooke Hemingway event, who is a coach, my life coach, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to go to one of these. So I went by myself, okay? Don't know anybody else in the room, lots of women, and I don't know, it may have been a break or whatever, and I'm outside and there's this balcony overlooking the city of Dallas, and here's Monica, right? And Monica also came by herself, and let me just say, Monica was so timid and shy, and it's like, I'm by myself, but yet I could talk to people.
Yeah.
I'm not as shy. So me and Monica started talking, and we just became friends, social, stuff like that. Nothing big or anything like that. But it's like you have been you have changed drastically from any of the women, and it's all for the best. You talk about blooming.
Yeah.
We talked today about bloom. What does that mean to you? You are blossomed into those beautiful petals. She is at that stage of
That's
blossoming.
so awesome.
So
How long ago was this? Give us a timeline that the two of you met.
it was probably 3 years ago because it was in the summer.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was April. Because it was crazy because I met you guys in April. Then 3 years or a year later, I joined Amberly's mastermind, and that was 2 years ago. So 3 years
Okay.
in April.
So about
Yes.
years ago.
3 years ago. And yes, it was because it was before I retired.
Yeah.
And I was sort of in the getting those God winks at that time, right?
Yeah, you were
And
talking
it
about it
was,
at that event.
yes, and it was Thomas's talk, which is
Yeah.
Brooke's husband, who's an ER physician. He's an author. He wrote a book called Prevention, and it was his speech that said, and I mean, I just felt like he was talking directly to me, and I was like, how the heck does he know so much about me? You know? But he was like, you know, if you don't have to work in a box your whole entire life. You don't have to feel stuck. You have one life. We want you to be happy. We want you to all this stuff. So that was my first event with Brooke Hemingway and Thomas Hemingway also.
Right.
So that was my version of meeting you. What was your version of meeting me?
Yeah. So that was actually the first room, first event, first anything I had ever done.
Me too.
So
Me too.
yeah, I had never been in a room. I had met Brooke. Um, I had met her through Plexus, done some trainings with her, and she knew I had just moved to Texas. And so she reached out and she was like, "Hey, you should come to this event." And I'm like, "No, I don't do those things. Like, I don't do that." And so after lots of prodding, she got me into the room, and I didn't know anybody. Like, I knew Brooke and that was it. I didn't know anybody else. And yeah, we were out on the balcony, and there was a bunch of us out there. We were taking pictures. It was like a social hour out
Yeah.
on the balcony. And we just, we started talking, and the two of us connected. And, the same thing. It was like a veil was lifted at that event. And I saw what it looked like to live outside of the box. And I had always felt like the black sheep because I always had these big, huge ideas and very much did not conform to living in a box. And that had gotten me into trouble. And so I had very much shrunk myself down to fit inside this box that society said I should fit into. But that wasn't me. And seeing these women being like, well, you can do this and you can do that, and I do this. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the most amazing thing in the world.
That's awesome. So what got you into Plexus to begin with, I guess, if that's sort of how you ended up finding the conference? What even got you to take that step?
Right. So it was the most bizarre thing. A girl that I went to high school with reached out to me. We had not talked in probably 20 years.
Mm.
And she reached out to me and she said, hey, like, I'm taking these supplements and will you check them out? I think that you might benefit from them. She had no idea I was horribly, horribly sick. And so I looked at it and was like, well, like there's a money back guarantee. So if I buy it and it doesn't do anything, if it doesn't help me, I can get my money back. And I had no doubt I would get my money back because I had tried so many things at that point. And this was actually just a couple of years before this event. So ended up meeting Brooke. She used to do trainings for Plexus, just private trainings, and got connected with her that way.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. And but Brooke is a diamond, which is like the highest rank in Plexus, but yet she also puts on retreats for women. She's a coach. She used to be an RN and she's a fitness trainer.
Okay.
So she has many hats. Many hats.
Yes. That's like one little tiny aspect of what she does.
Yes. Yes.
It's so cool how somebody can have like there's like an offshoot way that you meet somebody that then takes you to something else and completely transforms your life.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that's
Right.
exactly what happened.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what her retreats are. They're motivation, pretty much life-changing events that give women the confidence that, you know what, you can do this, and listen to your soul. And it's just very, very empowering.
Yeah.
Empowering. So Sunday, Kelsey, you're going to be in the room. Kelsey's going to her own other events and retreats and stuff, but
I haven't been to any of Brooke's stuff yet.
Yes.
So.
Oh yes, you absolutely should get into one of her races.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about, from your perspective, when you walked into that space. And from what I know of you, I imagine that was very intimidating.
Oh my gosh, I was terrified.
So talk to us about how that felt.
I was so overwhelmed walking in that room. And so I ended up meeting Tina, and then during a dinner, I was sitting next to Erin Reniger. And so we started talking, and I kind of latched onto her like, okay, here's a nice person. I'm going to stick with her. And I'm just going to follow her around. Ended up meeting a ton of people. It was a small event. There was only about 30 of us.
Okay.
And heard lots of stories, all kinds of things that these women were doing. And Brooke, at the end of the night, Brooke asked people to commit to something, make some kind of a commitment for what you're going to do. And she knew a little bit about my story. And so she, of course, brings me up to the front of the room, and I'm like shaking because I don't talk in front of people. I don't speak in front of groups, like nothing. It's my big fear. And she says, I want you to commit to telling your story from a stage at some point in the next year. And I nod my head and I'm like, I will say whatever you want if you let me go sit back down.
Right.
Just let me go sit back down.
Yeah.
And so I had absolutely no intention of actually following through with that. Because again, I don't talk in front of people. Like, I'm the kind of person, I started kindergarten with the kids I graduated from. It's a very, very small town. We knew each other our entire lives. I could not get in front of my class of kids that I had grown up with and do a presentation because I couldn't get any words out and I would shake so bad. I was so terrified of using my voice and had no intention of doing that. And then that was in April. In August, I was looking at becoming a coach. It just sounded absolutely amazing to me. And I attended an event in Salt Lake City. I was working with a trauma coach at the time. She hosted an event and I went to the event and she decided to pull me up on stage with no warning and coach me in front of 100 people. So here I am on stage in front of 100 people.
Wow.
And she's getting me to start telling some of my story from a stage.
Wow.
No pressure there.
Right. No pressure. I don't remember much of the conversation, but I left that event and immediately enrolled in coaching certification. I already had a certification in integrative nutrition and was like, it's not the nutrition aspect. There's more to this. Like, it's not just the nutrition that's going to help heal people. And I knew that that was not what was healing me. Just the nutrition portion wasn't healing my health issues. And so I enrolled in a Master Life certification, Master Life Coaching certification, and completed that. And that really was the start of my journey, doing trauma healing. And I started walking. After Brooke's event, I started walking. She talked about Trent Shelton's podcast. I had never listened to a podcast before. So I came home, had a treadmill, put my earphones in, started walking on the treadmill. And that's how it started, was just taking one step. And over time, those steps add up and you just keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's good. So you really hit on something that I think we often overlook, that it's not just the nutrition when we're like looking. A lot of people are trying to make a change in their life and they think they need to lose weight. That's like what a lot of people jump to.
Right.
And I don't know, from my experience, a lot of times I think it starts with nutrition or moving your body, but then like all these other layers underneath start to transform as a part of that.
Oh, absolutely. I love to tell people, before I could change my life, I had to change what I believed was possible.
Yes.
And so that started with what was going into my ears, into my eyes, what I was consuming, because what was actually like what I was putting out and how I felt about myself, I was not going to be able to accomplish anything with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember having a similar experience of like, I have to start by caring about who I am, about like taking care of myself. Like it has to start with actually caring about me.
Right. Yep.
Before anything else is going to change.
Right.
Yeah, because I absolutely needed to lose weight. I had made commitments to myself year after year after year. Oh, this is the year I'm going to lose weight. Oh, I need to lose 50 pounds. Oh, I need to lose 75 pounds. Oh, I'm going to lose 100 pounds this year. And so I very distinctly remember setting those goals and saying to myself, I have to do this. And once I lose the weight, everything will be better. And it doesn't work that way. You have to fix what's going on in your mind. You have to fix your self-worth. You have to fix your value. And then as your body starts to heal, it doesn't have to hold on to that weight, because the weight is just a form of protection.
Wow. Yeah. This is a framework you teach with your like coaching clients, correct? That you've sort of created.
So I actually have, I was teaching a method that has now totally changed up. So I am in the middle of rebranding. I'm in the middle of completely changing how I teach. What I had to do, I had to go back and look at everything that I'd done and how I transformed, and basically work it backwards to figure out, how did I do this and how did I make these changes? Because you look at the changes physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. And like Tina said, it's a 180. But how did I do that? So it's something I call the reset methodology. And I want to preface this just a little bit, because some of the wording is going to sound very strange for a coach, or, probably very different than what you've ever heard before. So I have had a passion for human behavior since I was little. And I realized that the way that I was able to make this transformation was by investigating myself. I had to take the skills I had learned from criminal law and psychology and sociology and all these different areas that I've studied, and I had to turn around and do that investigation on myself to figure out, how did I make this transformation and how can others make it? So the first thing you want to do, you want to recognize the patterns, because your behavior leaves clues. The behavior is what drives what drives everything. So you have to understand before you can change. And you really want to look at it in a way, recognize it without criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Then you want to explore, where did I learn this behavior? Why did my brain, so I love neuroscience. And so my question always goes to, why did my brain think that I needed this behavior to keep me safe? And is it still keeping me safe? Or is this a behavior that I maybe don't need anymore? You're going to look at shifting your beliefs. So you identify the stories underneath the behavior. What triggered the behavior? Most of the time, when you actually sit down and you look at your behaviors, you can find specific things in your past that are linked to that behavior. You started behaving that way, whether it's people pleasing or it's control. You learned that behavior because of a response that you had to something in your environment. Mm-hmm. So, some that I hear frequently, I have to earn love. A lot of people growing up, they felt like they had to earn people's love, whether that was through accomplishment or through acts, things like that, that you have to go back and look at that. You want to embody your new identity. So transformation is becoming, it's not knowing. So you want to start making choices that align with who you truly are. And then you're going to thrive in your purpose. So everybody has a purpose. You may not know what your purpose is, but everybody has a purpose. And you really taking time to sit and figure out, what is my purpose? And for me, my purpose comes from God. And I listen and I watch for those God winks and things like that, so that I learned what my purpose was. Remember that healing isn't the destination. It's the goal is to actually live. So ask yourself, why am I here? What was I created for? What am I being called towards?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the new methodology that I am now coaching on, that helps guide people through that same transformation that I made.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so cool. So you did get a coaching certificate. What I'm hearing you say is you went and you got a coaching certificate. You learned a way to coach. You did that for a while and then recognized there's a better way to do this and
Right?
recreated your
Yeah.
own path that you've personally experienced so you can help people walk through that process.
Exactly. That's,
That's awesome.
it's so easy to teach something. And this is not to diss any teachers because I have teachers in my family, but when you are trying to teach such a large transformation to someone, I want someone who's gone through it telling me how they did it. I
Right.
don't want someone, in my case, it didn't help me to have a size 2 fitness instructor telling me how to get healthy when I weighed almost 350 pounds. That was not helpful to me because they had never been where I had been before.
Right.
I wanted to find people who had been where I had been, learn from them, and then take what I learned from them, combine it with what I learned on my own, and develop something from that.
Yeah.
That's great.
That is. It's so good. So if you've been thinking, I know I need to get my money more organized, I just don't know where to start, I made something for you. Download my free financial organizer, a simple tool that helps you map your net worth, monthly cash flow, and those once-a-year expenses we all tend to forget about. Grab it now at apricityfp.com. That's apricityfp.com.
Wow.
One of the things I heard you say was embodying who you're going to become. That was the second E in your reset. Which reminds me a lot of, I bring this up in any of the workshops that I do, that part of Atomic Habits. Have you ever read that book?
Oh, yeah.
By James
I've
Clear?
read bits and pieces. It is actually sitting on my bookshelf right now
Okay.
with the workbook.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this book and I reference it a lot. And I think I probably need to reread it because I'm sure it keeps coming up for me for a reason. But anyway,
That's your guess.
but anyway, he talks about how if you want to stop smoking, you can't say, I'm quitting. You have to say, I'm not a smoker. Right.
Yeah.
And like it's actually owning the new identity and the shift that happens with that. And I think that's super powerful.
It opens new neural pathways in your brain. So, you can say to yourself over and over and over, I want to do this. But if you don't actually believe it's possible, your brain knows the difference. So your brain goes, oh, that's nice that you want to do that, but we know that you're really back over here. And so it is, like you said, it's embodying that identity. You take on that new identity before you feel like you're ready. And you start stacking things. You start stacking evidence that shows, no, this is who I really am. And you just keep stacking those. I had a friend of mine told me today, she goes, I keep an evidence journal because I take all of that evidence and I just keep stacking it. And that way I can go back and look on a day when I'm not feeling super great. I can go back and look and say, look at all these things that prove to me that this is changed, even when I don't always see it.
Yeah, that's so good. One of my coaches, I think it was Patrice Washington, told us to keep a brag binder.
Oh,
And
cool.
so just like a binder of anytime you get a thank you letter from a client or an email, like print it and put it in there so that you can go back and remember how awesome you are. And somebody tells you you're great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have friends, another friend of mine, Rudy, he has a wall like that. He calls it his wall of love. And so anytime somebody sends him a letter or something like that, it goes up on the wall of love so that he can see all of these people whose lives were affected by him.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, Trent and Rudy were like your mentors, or you really looked up to them, right?
Well, so I really like Trent's was the first podcast that I ever listened to. And so just hearing what he had to say, and obviously his message has evolved since then and changed, but just hearing that. And then I met Rudy actually. We met in April, and then the following January, Rudy spoke at Align, and I heard him talk, and I was like, oh, I was blown away. I absolutely loved what he said. I connected with it so much, and so we connected at that point, and I heard him again. I went to Amberly Lago's event a few months later in April, and he spoke there again. And again, just was blown away by the concepts. He really has an amazing way of mixing science and religion. And that was something that I had always found myself doing. I love science, but I'm very faith-based. And he showed me that you can really bridge those two things. And he talked about neuroscience and angels and all of these things that you just, at that point, I had never heard anybody talk about things like that before. And so we connected, and we've stayed really closely connected. I still coach with him. We went to Kauai for a retreat together. So we still stay really closely connected.
Yes. Yep. Rudy Reekskin. Is that how you?
Ricksteins.
Yeah.
Wicksteins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a book out too. Yeah. So since Dallas, tell us what you have been up to.
Since Dallas 3 years ago?
Yes.
Talk us
Oh
through
my
this evolution,
God.
Monica.
Yes, Monica. I'm telling you, yes.
Oh, so after that, I got into the room and got coached, and then the following year, I attended Align with Brooke again, and actually at the event in Dallas, Aaron had told me, "You have to talk to Amberly Lago. You really need to connect with her."
Okay.
Well, I didn't talk to strangers, so that was not going to happen. And she happened to be at Align, and I saw her, and I was like, I was looking all over for Erin because I was going to have Erin introduce us, and Erin had left. She was sick.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if I don't go talk to her, I'm going to miss my opportunity to talk to her. And I knew she lived in Dallas, which I'm just outside San Antonio, so it's close. And so I went over, we had a long conversation, and she invited me to her event that was going to be in Dallas in April of that year. So again, I'm going into a room. Amberly's the only person that I knew. There were a couple of girls from that event in Dallas with Brooke that ended up coming to the event as well that I saw. And I saw all these women doing all these amazing things. And I was like, I want to be able to do that. But I was still so afraid. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of anything and everything. And so one of the girls, we spent all day together. And at the end of the day, she's like, you have to do the mastermind. She's like, you have to do this. It's the only way you're going to overcome these fears. And so I jumped into the mastermind with no idea what that actually was or what it meant or anything. I was just told this is what I should do. And so I jumped in, and they were talking about writing books, and they were talking about starting podcasts. And, there was all of this talk about doing all of these things. And I was like, well, I'm just going to do it then. I'm going to start a podcast. And so I started a podcast, and I had my coaching certification. So I launched a coaching business. And what else did I do? Gosh, I started speaking on stages in 2025. I spoke on, gosh, I think 15 stages. And
Wow.
yeah. And then started up again. I took a break the beginning of this year. I had a life transition, and really took a break, took a step back. And now I'm relaunching and relaunching with my new reset methodology and the new things that I'm learning and teaching. And I had a book that I published in February. So that came out, an Amazon best-selling book.
What's the title?
It is called The Lie is Loud.
The Lie is Loud. Silence the noise, step into who you are. I love that. That's perfect.
That's awesome. And what is the name of your podcast?
The name of my podcast is called Unshakable Belief.
Okay.
And I actually am getting ready to launch a brand new podcast that came totally out of left field. It's a passion project. My background is criminal law and psychology. And so I am launching a new podcast called Inside the Reading Room. It will probably be a couple months before it comes out. It is going to be a video-based podcast, and we are going to go in and evaluate crimes through the lens of the behavior.
Interesting. Okay.
So did I tell you that Monica did a complete 180?
You did, yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how you went from being the most timid person Tina's ever met.
Yes.
To speaking on 15 stages in 1 year. And you did that in 2 years' time, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting to me because as you were talking about the reset method, the thing that came up for me of like, what was it? You said you need to really change what you believe about yourself, who you believe yourself to be. And for years, my whole career, I've been telling people I'm just a one-on-one person. I'm good with people one-on-one. That's what I do. And I can feel that I'm being challenged in that right now. And I'm seeing you, and you've gone and done this thing. So tell us how you did it, Monica.
Gosh. I just buckled up for the ride. I did it afraid. I was terrified. Like I said, I was terrified of everything, but I was so tired of living in the box and knowing that I was not living my purpose or my potential. And for me, it had come down to I had lost all of my self-worth. I didn't think I was worthy of anything. I don't get the nice house. I don't get the nice car. I don't deserve those things because for whatever reason, my brain just went, we don't deserve those things. And so even though I was really successful in my career, I wasn't happy and I wasn't fulfilled. And I knew that that wasn't the purpose I was here for. And so I just was like, I'm just going to do it scared. So I kept walking on the treadmill. And then I, figured out, I connected with people. How do I start a podcast? Like, I don't know anything about tech. How do you start a podcast?
Yeah.
And got connected with a friend of ours that helped me, start my podcast. And well, how do you write a keynote? Like, I don't know how to do that. Okay, learned how to do that. So it was just learning to do these things that were totally outside of my comfort zone, just one thing at a time. And as you do that, you start trusting yourself and you start seeing the value in yourself and you start building self-worth. And for me, a huge turning point was actually April of this year at Unstoppable Success Summit. It's the event that Amberly Lago hosts every year. And I walked into that room with this amazing keynote, motivational talk that I was going to give. And I was sitting backstage, and from the backstage area, we could hear people coming into the audience and into the room. We had books set up, all kinds of stuff, and we could hear them talking. And I heard people talking about other talks that they had heard at the event and kind of what their expectation was and what they really needed to hear for themselves, something that was really going to be helpful for them. And I realized that my keynote was very motivational, but it wasn't what they needed to hear. So I walked out onto the stage with my keynote torn up and thrown away and
Wow.
gave a keynote just from the heart and got off stage, and I had no idea what I had said. I didn't know if it made
Oh
any
my gosh.
sense.
That's terrifying. That is terrifying. But what guts
So,
it took to decide to do that, to like listen and follow what you were what you were told.
what's so crazy, because I mean, before I even, a friend of mine took a picture of me and I'm standing backstage and I have my phone open and I'm reading my keynote, trying to like get it in my brain. And my brain is going, nope, this is not what we need to do. This is not what they want to hear. And so I actually went out, went back off of the backstage, went out into the hallway, and one of the girls prayed over me. And I was like, I just need to trash the keynote and I just need to talk from my heart. And it was just like an instant calm came over me. And I was like, oh, now I'm good. Okay, let's go out there. Because I was opening the event. So I'm like, okay, let's go do this. Got out there, the keynote, and it's still like, I'm still terrified every time I get on stage. I think that I don't think you ever want to lose that. You don't ever want to lose that little bit of fear. But got out and gave a talk and everybody loved it and was like, but it validated, it gave me validation, and it showed me that, like, you do know what you're talking about. Like, look, you went out there and you talked for almost 15 minutes just from the heart
Without a plan.
without
Wow.
a plan.
Oh,
And your message made sense. I actually had a lady stop me outside of the room. I went around the stage to go out and sit in the audience so that I could watch the other speakers. And she stopped me before I went in, and we sat and talked for about half an hour. And um, I had never had that happen before. A lot of the events I had done were virtual, but I had never had that happen before. And so just knowing, like, my message touched one person, that was enough for me to be like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's incredible,
That is.
Monica. See, I tell you. Oh my gosh. That is incredible. So how you wrote a book also, correct?
Yeah, The Why is Loud. I'm working on book number 2.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What kind of advice would you give to other women who who are pretty much in your shoes, say 3 years
Where I
ago?
was.
Yes.
Yeah. Ask yourself, what if there's more? What if there's more than where I'm at and what I have right now? What if the dream on your heart, that little nudge that you keep getting, that you keep pushing away, what if it's there for a reason? And what if your experiences and your gifts and your passions and your story was never random? It's to help you find your purpose. So listen for whatever your higher power is calling you towards, and just keep taking one step towards it. Even if nobody else understands, nobody else is supposed to understand. It's your journey.
Right.
And then remember that life changes when you stop living as the person that the world told you you had to be, and you start living as the person you were created to be.
Love it.
That's incredible. Thank you so much, Monica, for being here with us today. I appreciate
Absolutely.
every word you've said.
I love you so much, Monica.
Love you.
Oh my gosh.
Can't wait
That
to
was
see you.
so good. That was so good.
Oh, real quick, before we jump off, where can our listeners find you if they want to follow you and learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Facebook under Monica Azoulay. I'm also on Instagram under Monica Azoulay. I'm on LinkedIn as Monica Azoulay. My website is monicaconnollycoaching.com.
Okay.
I also have YouTube. Basically, if you find me on social media, you're going to find me everywhere.
Perfect. Okay. And we'll put all those links in our show notes so that people can just go click. So it'll be perfect.
The book, the podcast, everything.
Everything. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Good night, ladies.